Hey, what's going on the YouTube? It's SEL0320 representing JVS. So I'm back here again for another Flash review. This was episode 4, the new Rogues of season 3. I gotta say, unfortunately, how do I put it? The first 3 episodes, from Flashpoint all the way down to the rest, they really set the bar. And they really have been really dynamic and intriguing and stuff like that. And this one has some good moments, but I think it was probably the weaker out of all the episodes that have come up thus far for me. I think that them coming up with Mirror Master, first off, I'll mention that. I think that the guy, the look of him, when he gets a costume, when he gets into his own, kind of like Snart later on, he became a way better defined villain. And I think his powers really interesting, but they never really showed the true capability of what they could do. There's some really interesting like action sequences when they actually had Barry having to run up a building and trying to stop and slow him down because he was moving so fast between essentially dimensions through mirrors. I thought that whole concept was really awesome, and Barry being stuck in it. The CG for this was actually pretty dope. Jesse doing her thing. Vertigo, that whole thing kind of tripped me out. So I think the visual effects for this episode was actually pretty good. It was just, I don't know, I feel like them, like Mirror Master and his sister were not that menacing at all. Like, I really were kind of like, they're just kind of the B villains, when I think Mirror Master was, in my opinion, even more of a priority villain than what, Captain Cold has been, or even the other rogues. So I think it was interesting seeing them all together, like especially having old boy Leonard Snart in the beginning of the episode and seeing how, like he was kind of like the ace in the hole back then. And now, of course, he's been transformed. If you looked at DC Leather Jamar, you know that. But, I mean, I don't know, man. I just didn't find this episode as awesome as the others that I felt. I don't know what I'm even going to give this as a number, because whereas it didn't have anything dynamic happen or any major action beats, they were kind of like real risk of things happening. I think even when the one risk that actually did happen, it kind of came off as a joke, because I mean, yeah, Barry was stuck in a dimension, but when him and kind of Iris were having that conversation, I was like, man, they're joking about this. Even Barry at one point was like, I'm trying to find the villains, and like Cisco and Caitlin and Wells are trying to find another Wells, which was kind of weird, and it didn't fit as far as tonally. I mean, I guess it works, but it was like, why do that other than just an explanation to bring Jesse Quick back to her universe? And then the other side of that was with, Joe having an issue with Barry kissing and stuff, which is understandable. I understand that. And Joe kind of beating around the bush. It was just like everybody was kind of tiptoeing, man. I think that was the real issue that I had. There wasn't anything risk-taking taken with the villains. There wasn't anything kind of like new with Cisco. But yeah, there is some stuff going on with Caitlin, but it was overshadowed with the stuff that was with Harrison Wells, where they could have, in my opinion, focused more on Caitlin and her prospect. I think that if they took the whole Wells thing out, right, and just had like, all right, Jesse and Wells, they have to go back. They don't need to replace another Wells with it, and they were trying to figure out how to get Barry out, and the only object of that was trying to figure out that device, and using that would have had more focus on Caitlin, and I thought that would have been really interesting to go through where her processes is, or maybe giving us a flashback with her. And I'll get to some stuff that I liked in a second. And then the other side of that, with, like I said, with the villains, is just like, I mean, nothing came from that. And then with Joe, I was just like, okay, well, you were the one that kind of pushed them to this point, and now you're not even taking your own advice. You're being kind of really hypocritical, and Iris is being understanding, and then like Barry was kind of like, I don't know. It just, to me, it was overly dramatified. Whereas Joe's been kind of like that, just dad that just understands, and. I mean, I think that the things that I do love were all the love beats, which is weird. Like all the moments with Wally and Jesse, I ship them. I love those sequences. I mean, their relationship is kind of really quick, but it was very natural. They have really great chemistry. The actors do. And oh my gosh, y'all, Wes Allen shippers out there, that sequence in the very beginning with Barry and Iris and them kind of having like a little bit of wine, just kind of like getting into, I was just like, I was all with that. I was loving that, And then the dynamics with after the fact when everybody was kind of cool and Barry was like, and I need to go and leave, maybe get my own place, and like that was a really back to, you know, the genesis of their characters of like a family, which is really weird because Iris and Barry kind of did grow up together. So I don't know, the dynamics have shifted and changed as far as relationally, and I think that was the plus of the episode. Everything else was kind of just there. The CG was great, but like the real impact and the things actually progressing, it kind of left this kind of like more of a filler episode, unfortunately. So I had to give this one maybe like a 7 or maybe a 7.5. I know that's a really low, but I know that they can make more than make up for it. I mean, the other thing is they didn't even talk about the alchemy. They didn't add freaking Malfoy in this one. It was just like all the stuff that actually is a serious beat they left out of this episode. But y'all will see in my reactions, like I probably had like some moments I was like, so. But anyway, hope y'all enjoyed this review. Keep it locked. JBS ain't gonna stop. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.